And we're back for part 2. I bumped a button on accident, so y'all are getting 2 parts on this one today. So anyway, so I finished this bottom. I've got this pretty purple bird over here. Shape-wise, I was thinking it was going to be a bluebird, and then I started painting it, and it's purple. So I'm like, is it a purple martin? What kind of bird do we think it is? And then I've kind of started getting into a little bit of the tree over here. There's a big tree that comes up here. We'll move all these excess release papers. Those are ones that I've completed. I do have a couple of cover minders here because I do still have the plastic over most of this. So anyways, this is coming up the tree. I believe right under here we've got the start of a squirrel. That looks like a squirrel's tail to me. We'll get there and start working on it. I'm super excited with the way this is coming out. It's been so pretty. So yeah, we'll keep going with it, and hopefully be able to get it finished here in the next few weeks. So Hoya Bella, I watched your videos, your updates. I'm sorry your car is taking so long to get repaired. I don't know if I ever updated everybody on my car, so I'll give you another update in case you missed it or in case I didn't give it. So my car had to go into the shop, and we were worried that it was a major issue. There was belief that it could possibly have been my head gasket that had gone out. And the quote from the auto shop that we take our cars to was that it would take about a week, maybe a little bit more, and that it was going to cost almost $1,600 to get this repair done. Bear with me while I slide you guys over and get repositioned here so that I can do a little bit more painting while we chit chat. There we go. Anyway, so they were like, yeah, it's going to take us about a week. You're looking at almost $1,600. I said, okay. You know, they said, well, obviously, before we do any actual work, we're going to do some diagnostics on it. I will call you and tell you for sure what we're going to do before we do anything and get your okay on it. It's like, all right, works for me. So they call me. I dropped it off on like a Tuesday. They called me the next day and they were like, or I dropped it off on a Monday and they called me on that Tuesday and they said, hey, good news. It is not your head gasket and it is not going to cost you $1,600 to fix your car, and you're going to have it back in a whole lot less time than we originally anticipated. So it turned out that there was like a water outlet valve, something or other, that had essentially melted. They said that it's very common for Chevrolet to put a plastic part right next to a metal part that puts off a lot of heat, and therefore it causes that plastic part to melt. They're like, well, we don't know why it does that. We don't know why manufacturers do that. I said, I do. I said, it's so that you have to go get your car repaired, and their hope is that you're going to take it to the dealership and they're going to make more money off of you. And they're like, well, that seems reasonable. Fortunately, like I said, it was still a pretty hefty price tag to get it repaired. It was still almost $1,000 to get it repaired, but they did have it done in like 2 days. So, Hoya Bella, I'm sorry your car's taken so long. I wish you could bring it over to our shop because they do an awesome job. They've repaired my husband's cars many times. There was one time we took my husband's car into the shop and we're like, we don't know what's wrong with it. We have no idea. I don't even remember what the symptoms of it were or what it was doing. Anyways, they called us and they're like, you guys need to come down here and look at this because we're just not sure what's happened here. I'm like, okay, well, that's Not something you expect to hear from an experienced mechanic shop. But okay, you know, let's go down there and see what's going on. And it turns out that his fan no longer had blades on it. They're like, we've never seen, you know, obviously they were like, you know, we've seen like traumatic things, like something got stuck in there and it broke a blade off, whatever. But there's no evidence that anything got stuck in there. Nothing around it is mangled. There's no signs that anything happened. They just disappeared. They said it literally looks like his fan blades just up and disappeared. Like, that's weird. They're like, we'll put a new fan on it for you, but we're not sure how this happened. The thing is, like, right before he started having whatever problem it was that he was having this go around on that car, he was in a parking lot one day, parked near a light post, like a spot or two away from a light post, during like a big lightning storm. And the lightning ended up hitting the light post that was a few spots down from his car. And so we're like, could that have done it? They're like, we don't know. We're just as lost on this one as you are. We can make the repair, but we don't know what the cause was. So we can't tell you, oh, avoid this or make sure you maintain that or whatever. They're like, we just don't know. So... but they've always been really good to us, really fair on pricing, and, you know, worked with us to make sure we get our cars back in a timely manner and things like that. So I don't know why I switched to tweezers there for a minute. I think I dropped one weird, and anyways. So, yeah, Hoya Bella, I hope your car gets repaired soon, because I'm sure that you're missing your cats just as much as they're missing you, and you know, you want to get back into your routine and just living your own day-to-day life, not having to live under your parents' roof. Totally get that part of it. So best of luck on your car. Hopefully they get it back to you soon. Let's see here. Lazy Retired Granny, I'm glad to see that you're really enjoying the paintings that you chose with your gift card. They're really, really pretty. I've been very happy watching those come together. Your new one is with all those pinks and everything. I absolutely see why you would love that. You and your pink colors. I'm glad that the quality of them is working out, because that's always the pits if you get a painting that you're excited about and then the quality of it's really poor. So DP Crazy Lady, I cannot believe that your daughter actually broke herself. So hopefully the surgeon gets in and gets it fixed up for her really soon. I think the word you're looking for on that fracture is a trimalar fracture. And if that is what it is, then yeah, they're going to have to fix that, and they're not going to want to wait around on it, because the longer you go between fracture versus repair on something like that, you know, it's not going to be as easy for them to repair. If any healing starts before the surgery, you know, if it's got time, a few weeks or whatever, to start healing, even a couple of weeks can, you know, cause that repair to be a little more difficult. So hopefully they get her back up and going. And I don't know if you saw my comment, you know, wondering why the ER didn't give her crutches. I know a lot of times on foot and ankle fractures, and especially in, you know, women who are, you know, in their 30s, 40s, they don't really like you to do crutches as much, or at least the orthopedic surgeons that I've worked with in the past and the ER docs that I've worked with in the past. Crutches are not an easy thing to get used to. And as you saw, it's pretty easy to go ahead and fall even still with them. And so the ER doc may not have put in an order for crutches to send her home with, knowing that she was going to the orthopedic surgeon, you know, fairly quickly. Because a lot of times the orthopedic surgeon will want her using a knee scooter rather than crutches, just for safety reasons. And, you know, if that's the case, you know, if that's what the surgeon wants her to do, obviously check with the insurance, see if they're going to cover it for her. But if they don't, you know, let the surgeon know, hey, you know, her insurance is not going to cover that scooter. You know, do you know, do you by chance have any, you know, extras once that people are done with that they've turned over to you or whatever? Because I know our orthopedic surgeon at the hospital I used to work at, people would give him their equipment, their ice machines, their crutches, scooters, whatever, medical equipment, durable medical equipment they had used after that surgery, and they'll just give it to him and say, hey, pass it on to somebody in need. And so he always had, you know, tons of it on hand. You know, he's like, yeah, I've got a whole attic full of this stuff. All people have to do is ask, and I'll just make sure to have it for them at their next appointment, or, you know, bring it to the office the next day if they need it sooner or whatever. So, if she gets a really good ortho, you know, they may be able to help provide anything that the insurance is, you know, not willing to provide for whatever reason. So don't be afraid to ask. I can't imagine you being afraid to ask for what you need. So let's see. I'm just going to readjust this so that when I shut down for the night, I'm on an even line there. There we go. I do need to get another row of release papers up here so that I can roll that back a bit. What color do I want to do next? Let's do this green right here. It's so pretty. I've got so many pretty colors in this painting. So yeah, be sure to ask. And then of course, you know, hopefully her nausea, which the nausea may be caused by the pain meds. So if that's the case, you know, you've got that nausea medication on hand. And her surgeon may prescribe her some additional medications for nausea or whatever, just so that you guys have them on hand if she needs them. And they can adjust the dosage of the pain meds or whatever she needs. So, you know, just be sure to have a good conversation with them about her needs, and, you know, be honest about living situation. You know, if there's, you know, steps leading up to the front door that are hard to navigate, or anything like that, you know, she may need other mobility aids to get up and down with. You know, be sure that he goes over all that with you. He or she. A lot of orthopedic surgeons are males because they're kind of psychotic. They're all a little wacko. And let's see here. What other tips do I have from having worked with orthopedic surgeons before? You know, be very careful with pain meds because it is so easy to get addicted to them. You know, obviously, you know, keep pain management, you know, under control, but at the same time, you know, don't take more than you have to. They do have like some non-narcotic painkillers as well. That if she's having a lot of nausea with what she's taking, you know, he might look at prescribing a different pain medication instead. But yeah, hopefully they get her into surgery quickly and get her on the mend. You know, yes, there will be a lot of physical therapy to rebuild the strength in that leg once she gets fixed up. And, you know, she'll have to do those exercises to make sure that she maintains strength and stability in that. I know several years ago, and one of the reasons why I'm such a big advocate for carrying cell phones with you. Several years ago, my dad was out walking one of his dogs, as you know, as one does. He was out walking the dog. Now, keep in mind, this dog was like 14, 15 years old at this point. He was blind, he was deaf. We referred to him as the pokey little puppy because he knew where he was going and he could get there, but it took him some time. Well, the pokey little puppy went and he did his business and he went back to the house. In the going back to the house part, my dad went to turn around and head back towards the house himself, and he ended up, the arthritis in his knee caught, and he turned, but his leg didn't, but then it all of a sudden popped, and then it turned, and he was on the ground, could not get up. His ankle, right above his ankle, was broken. He hollered and screamed and yelled, trying to get somebody's attention, but unfortunately, it was summertime. My parents don't have air conditioning, so they had, you know, fans in the windows, and there was just no way anybody could hear him yelling for help. He had left his cell phone in the house because he's just going out to walk the dog. What does he need his cell phone for? Well, had he had his cell phone with him, he could have called for help. Instead of army crawling, I think it was about 1,000 foot before he got, maybe even more than that, before he got back up to the house and was able to bang on the door and get attention from my mom, who then had to try to get him loaded up in the truck to take him to the ER. So yeah, if he had had his cell phone with him, she could have, you know, driven the pickup over to where he was, where he had fallen at, and get him loaded up there instead of making him, you know, crawl with a broken ankle. He had some pens and plates placed in there to put it all back together. And he's good now. I mean, he's fine now, but had he had his cell phone with him, it would have been easier for him to get help when he needed it. And so now he carries his cell phone with him everywhere, and my mom, having diabetes and not well controlled, you know, she too makes sure to carry her cell phone with her everywhere she goes in case of emergencies. You know, and a lot of people will say, well, you know, we haven't always had cell phones and we've always found a way. Well, yes, but now we have an easier way. So quit being so daggum stubborn and just keep a cell phone with you, you know? You know, or even if he had taken one of the cordless extensions with him when he had gone out to walk the dog. But, you know, you walk the dog several times a day, every day for years on end. Like I said, this dog was like 14 or 15 years at the time. What are the odds of something happening? So, that was where my family learned that doesn't matter how often you do something, anything can happen, and to just keep your phone with you in case of emergencies. So you had mentioned to your daughter, DP Crazy Later, you mentioned to her to call you from her cell phone on the home phone so that she could, you know, make assistance requests and all that. So I think that's a great idea, to make sure she's got her phone there with her, whether she's on the couch or in her bed or wherever. Because, you know, just hollering for help isn't always a good means of communication. So, trying to think. I can't think of what else I've watched recently. I think today was just catching up on DP Crazy Lady and Linda, Lazy Retired Granny, and Hoya Bella. I'm having to be a little more particular about these drills, not because they're the weird, less faceted ones, but because there's a lot of little pinholes in these. So, I think that's really all I've got to chit-chat about. I will get these guys uploaded so you guys have something to watch tomorrow. Hope everybody has a great Monday, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.